Hi, Professional Developments. I wanted to take a few moments to say hello. I wanted to connect with you in a way that felt a little bit more personal than could be captured in an email. So I hope that you are doing well and that you are navigating all of the shifts and changes that have needed to be made in the last several weeks with relative ease, and that things are going smoothly for you. I also hope, of course, that first and foremost that you are staying in good health and that your first week of classes back from spring break went well last week. I thought what I would also do is take a moment to extend my support to each of you. I know that I mentioned in my email that I'm here to support you, but I think the implication is that I'm here to support you in professional development and in your academics, but I know that this time can also bring stress and anxiety with it. So if you're struggling, or if you just need to chat, or you need anything at all that you think I might be able to help with, please don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out, and I'll support in any way that I can. I hope that I get to see your faces sometime soon too. Certainly we can make good use of Zoom and other tools available to us, and we can talk more about that as the semester unfolds. In the meantime, I thought what I would do is also take a few minutes to walk you through the changes that have been made to the course to accommodate our online learning environment. I did send an email, as you know, to set that course in motion as of last Monday. So hopefully that was helpful to you, but I think that for many of you it is helpful to have an audio and a video component to as lengthy a message as I sent in an email. So hopefully this is helpful to those of you who prefer this kind of a delivery method for content and important information. For those of you who prefer to read a list written in an email, then you are all set. So let's take a couple of minutes to walk through changes to FASH 219 for our new online learning environment. So the very first thing I'm going to do is share my screen and refer to the document that I sent that outlines each of the course changes that have been made. So right here we have the document that was sent about a week ago. First things first, removal of the industry immersion requirement. You are no longer required to submit an industry immersion reflection paper. Just as a reminder, this was the component of the class that asked you to go out into the industry, to expose yourself to fashion events and programming, etc., as well as to network. Obviously, that is no longer safe or feasible, so that is no longer required. However, if you already did that, if you already went to a fashion event or other programming and you wrote a reflection paper on it and submitted it, you will receive additional points to your final grade. The breakdown is here in this document, and you can read that on your own. If you went to an event and were planning to submit a reflection paper, you can still do that and earn those same additional credit points. So you can take a look at this document again for the specific breakdown of how the points are awarded. The next thing, the next major change that was made was building out our Phase 4 and our Phase 5 modules in the Canvas course site, okay? So those are predominantly where we're going to spend the rest of the semester. Phase 1 is done, Phase 2 is done, Phase 3 we still have some items in progress, but we were largely through the explanation and the overview of that phase by the time we left for spring break. So really Phase 4 and Phase 5 is where we're at. So to support you in navigating Phase 4 and Phase 5, additional content and additional organization to make things really clear for you in those two module areas have been added to our Canvas course site. So hopefully that's helpful to you. The next piece is adjusted content delivery. So this is an important one. This is one that I think students are most interested in, which is how are we going to meet? How are we going to continue as a class this semester? So we will not meet synchronously together on Zoom. Okay, so that's the first thing people I think want to know. So probably you gathered that by the way that last week of classes went. Okay, so the reason for this is that as a one-credit course that is meant to equip you with job searching and job application skills, I think it really makes best sense for me to help you with additional resources, including some video tutorials and overviews of assignments, to help support your independent work on those assignments. Because the work in this class, well, is certainly collaborative in nature in terms of generating ideas and sharing feedback, it is individual, right? The materials that you generate are all about you and your own personal objectives and career aspirations and journey. So with that in mind, I think it makes sense to equip you with the tools to do that independently in a self-paced way in a timeline that works for you. So with a few exceptions, we will not meet synchronously, but that does not mean that we cannot meet to collaborate, to connect on any number of things. So I would encourage you all to connect with one another on professional development content, if that's appropriate and meaningful for you. I would also really encourage you to not hesitate to reach out if you would like to meet with me in a Zoom conference or otherwise. That is readily available to you, and you should make good use of that. The next thing is adjusted timelines and deadlines. So the main thing here is that we will not meet on a Tuesday to Tuesday or a Thursday to Thursday basis. We will meet on a Monday through Sunday week, or will operate on a Monday through Sunday week, meaning that deadlines will be Sunday nights at midnight, and new content will go live or become officially available to you on Monday mornings. Okay? So as you scroll down this document, you will see that there is a list here of items that kind of walk you through where we're at and where we need to go. Okay? So to start off with, continuing the process of phase 3, which is career preparation materials, right? So that phase in which you're building out resumes and cover letters, those job application materials that allow you to actually apply for jobs, right? So the first thing is that, as I described before spring break in class, this phase lasts quite a long time. It essentially lasts the entire semester. So we will start different assignments within phase 3 and then allow them to kind of be on autopilot in the background, if you will. So in other words, you're monitoring and managing those assignments on your own independently while the class moves on. Okay, so we move on as a class to the next topics and to the next items that we need to address while you're working simultaneously on those assignments in the background. It's very much like a long-term assignment in any other class. Okay, so that's what that first section talks about, is those items that we are still addressing and that we will continue to work on in phase 3. Okay, so the first thing was a cover letter draft, which was already due, and that's based on a cover letter workshop that we had before spring break. The next thing is your job search and customized application materials. We also went over this assignment before spring break. That will be due April 12th. From there, I will give you feedback on that work, and then from that, you will develop, from that feedback, you will develop your final resume and cover letter, which will be due on April 26th. Okay? So then moving on to where we will spend the bulk of our time in the second half of the semester, Module 4 and Module 5. So for Module 4, all of the content is published and live, and you hopefully have been working on it for the last week. So basically what Module 4 is about is networking and professional communication, okay? So we're talking about things like developing a list of professional references, so people that can verify your work ethic and character and your previous employment and so on and so forth. A LinkedIn profile, right? Always really important to be present on business networking sites like LinkedIn. And then knowing how to communicate and promote yourself effectively and tactfully. So there's a couple of items there. Number 1 was to develop an elevator pitch, which you can look at the assignment to understand more about what is involved in that process, and then responding to classmates about those elevator pitches. So I think one of the biggest lessons learned from week 1 of online learning is that anytime there's a discussion forum, there will always be 2 deadlines associated with it, okay? There'll be an initial deadline where your first contribution to the conversation is due. So your initial contribution, whatever it is that you have to add to the conversation, is due. And then the second deadline is when the discussion forum closes, at which point you need to have contributed to the conversation, engaged in it. So in other words, your responses are due. So it's the 2 deadlines, the initial post and then the responses. Okay, and I don't think that was highlighted quite enough. Okay, there's several people who have not made that initial deadline within the first week. So I'm going to actually allow a degree of flexibility here because I think that this is a lesson learned. All right, so I'm going to extend it by a couple of days so that everyone can have an opportunity to do an initial post in that discussion forum without penalty. I will post additional details on that in a separate Canvas announcement, so you can look in the announcements area of our Canvas course site for details on that. And then finally, a mentor list. So this is a list of potential mentors. You're not reaching out to anybody, but you're thinking about what mentorship could look like in your life, okay? So you can review the assignment for more details there. And that, all of Module 4 will come due on April 12th, okay? So the reason for this is that it allows you ownership of your own timeline, okay? So you can work at a pace that makes sense for you, in a way that is best structured to your learning style and your environment and the access that you have to your computer and to different tools that you need to do your best work, without having to worry about staggered deadlines. So rather than have multiple deadlines, one thing due and then the next thing due and then the next thing due, all of Module 4 comes due on the same day, okay? So just to kind of keep it easy in this initial transition. So everything in Module 4 is due on April 12th. Module 5 is much easier to explain because it will go live on Monday, April 13th, if not maybe a little bit sooner. Module 5 is all about presenting your personal brand. So predominantly the tools that you have to present your personal brand to the general public and to potential employers are in digital spaces, right? So building out a website and an e-portfolio is where we'll focus our attention. So I want to tell you one thing that's important about this phase that you should mark your calendars with now. We will have one synchronous meeting, okay, with regard to this topic. On Tuesday, April 14th at 12:30, we will meet with a representative from the platform that we will use to build out our personal websites and e-portfolios with. And she will provide a tutorial and an overview of how to do it. Okay, so this is a really important meeting. You don't want to miss it. I will, of course, send additional details on this meeting, but I'm gonna include that detail here in this video as well so that you can be planning. So more details and deadlines with regard to Phase 5 are coming your way very soon, on or before April 13th, when we begin officially Phase 5. Phase 5 will run until Sunday, May 10th, at which time it will close, okay? And that will be the last responsibility or time frame related to FASH 219 for you for this semester, okay? So essentially, our last class meeting, if you will, okay, will be May 10th. That'll be the last time that you're required to log into Canvas and to do work related to FASH 219. So I think that pretty much sums up the changes that have been made to the course, okay? The very last thing on the bottom of this document is simply a list of deadlines by date, which I really just included here for your convenience so that you can follow it by date. So should you have additional questions or like to discuss anything further, please do not hesitate to reach out, and you can look for additional video postings from me coming to you very soon. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.